Welcome. Yay for the sun. Nature is on our side. So I'm Linda Krop. I'm Chief Counsel of the Environmental Defense Center. We are hosting this press conference. And I'm going to be moderating the press conference, and then we'll see you all at the town hall. So the reason we are here today is to ask the state of California to protect us from the largest threat facing our coast. Sable, a new Texas oil company, wants to restart the defective pipeline that caused one of the largest spills in California history. And they also want to resume production from 3 platforms in the Santa Barbara Channel. In its short history, not only has Sable disregarded the strong opposition in our community to this project, not only did they sue to prevent the public from seeing their plans, but they have been operating in open violation of numerous state orders. We are sending a message to California, to the state agencies that come today, that we will fight to protect our coastline, our watersheds, our cities, and our people. And this is an important message. Laws still matter in California. We applaud the agencies that have tried to enforce the laws, that have issued notices of violation to Sable. However, this company continues to ignore those orders and continues to violate them. It is time for the Attorney General for California, Rob Bonta, and other agencies to enforce the law, hold Sable accountable, and prevent further harm. It is critical that the state conduct environmental review and allow public input as required by law. Our speakers today will talk about what this project means for our community and for the entire state. I would like to first introduce Mati Waiya. Mati is the tribal chair of the coastal band of the Chumash Nation. He's also the executive director of the Wishtoyo Foundation. He is a lifelong resident of Ventura County and devotes his life to preserving Chumash culture and the natural resources all people depend on.
Haku, and welcome everyone. And thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit about our culture, our ancestors, our homelands. Homelands that were never ceded, never given up through these different processes of colonial thinking. Normally I don't read, but I thought and I felt it important to put it down on paper, to be clear of a message of what we stand for and what you should stand for in this place that you call home, and you raise your children and lay your loved ones to rest. Birthrights, a place for our future generations to sound the sounds of freedom when our mothers birthed us into the world and we cried out, so never be quiet. We can't afford to sit by and watch the power of greed take away our freedoms. The inroads established by our allies, elders, and ancestors before them, like our grandmothers and aunties who put their bodies in front of Chevron bulldozers to stop the massive LNG project at Point Conception, Hunkak, our most sacred site. Sable's corroded and corrupt practices will surely spill and kill not only the lives, but it can shift our collective spirit if we allow it. Our indigenous people, the academics call us Chumash. We are the original people from this land and have been here for thousands of years in a reciprocal and therefore sustainable relationship with our coastal waters, ocean, and islands. We are aware of the dismantling, the disempowering and dehumanizing nature of colonialism. And now it's time to flip the script. of history to engage in rehumanization through self-healing instead of self-dealing, raising a consciousness of spiritual purpose and clear thinking about what needs to be done. Our generational continuum is now. We can't allow powerful companies to bully their way through rules and regulations and policies that have been put in place to protect our freedoms. Our ancestors are our family, and the children are our future. You in the Santa Barbara communities raise your children on our land and lay your loved ones to rest as they leave us, a place you call home. We have a responsibility to take care of it together. Humanakush ulug manawan wotoko hoka kuna makwe. Kilo soko lohokni nikushai lohokni. Inikushai nanawe no kilo sokapaye nikushai apaye. Grandfather, bring that sacred spirit of life into our heart and our soul, where our truth lie. There's a threat on our communities, the threat on our oceans, and the threat on the lives of our sustainable relatives. The migration of time and the seasons of change is now. Let us stand together. Let us fight together. Let us deal with this economic disaster that will hit Santa Barbara. We're in a whole different administration in this world that is taking away the freedom of what you stand for. We can't allow that to happen. California has always led the way. Call it climate change or an environmentalist. This is about humanity and human freedom. Let's don't put a label on something that has the light of life that you were given when you were born into this world. Aho. Thank you.
Senator Monique Limón represents the 21st District, where we are, and has been a champion for environmental protection in our community. After the 2015 oil spill, she introduced legislation to increase the maximum criminal penalties, as well as other efforts to protect our climate and prevent pollution from the fossil fuel industry.
Thank you, Linda. Buenas tardes, comunidad. Good afternoon, everyone. It is great to be here with you, alongside you in community. Assemblymember Gregg Hart and I are happy to be your representatives, honored to be your representatives, and also will stand with you and continue to do this work and fight this fight on behalf of our community. We are also joining the many voices that want our state and our community to be a team, to work together in recognizing what restarting this pipeline will do to our community, to the people, to the workers, to the economy, to the environment, and to everyone as a whole. We have deep concerns about what is in front of us, and you need to know that as your state representatives, we have been there and will continue to be there. We know that today's hearing is part of our way of ensuring that there is greater communication, greater information, so that our community can be empowered. We also know that it's critical for all of our state agencies, as well as our elected leaders at the state level, to also be partners with us. And that is why we have called our Attorney General to also ensure that when companies make a choice to not follow the law, that there are consequences. It matters to us. It matters to our greater community. It matters to this state, that the laws that we have put in place for the people, by the people, are laws that the people will uphold. This is key for us. So know that we stand here in solidarity as state representatives, as your state senator. This has been an issue that we continue to see, and that we're going to work with you, alongside you, for you, to ensure that our community voices are heard, that our community is seen, and that our state becomes a partner in ensuring that we stop the violations that we see that are in place that we stop this expansion, that we ensure safety for our community, and that we ensure that the will of the people of this community is heard and uplifted. Thank you very much, everybody.
Assemblymember Gregg Hart represents the 37th District and previously served on the Santa Barbara County Board of Supervisors, City Council, and California Coastal Commission. A long-standing advocate for the Central Coast, Mr. Hart has introduced legislation this year to protect our state against oil spills and dangerous oil projects.
Well, clearly Senator Limón and I did not get the red memo. But I think that's because Sacramento, fortunately, is still blue. This community cares deeply about our environment. You know, we're all here because we, as a community, have experienced tremendous violence from oil spills. Going back to 1969, the oil spill that really woke up the nation to the risk of environmental hazards. And the result was the Environmental Protection Agency, major legislation supported in a bipartisan fashion that really changed the trajectory of our country and the world. Because the world does watch what happens in the United States. And sadly, right now, the world is watching us very carefully and wondering what is going on in Washington. Where the federal government is dismantling science, firing the meteorologists that predict our weather, dismantling the Environmental Protection Agency, getting rid of regulations that protect public health and safety. And in California, we are not doing that. We are doubling down on our environmental agenda to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in California and to protect our environment. As the world watches us, we have an incredible story to tell because California is the 5th largest economy in the world. We are able to have a booming economy, take care of the people in this state with good jobs, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions and protect our environment. It is a false choice to think that we have to choose between protecting our environment and boosting our economy. Today, you're all going to join us over at Coomer Junior High School for a town hall meeting. We have 8 different state agencies from the state of California down here to represent their role in the permitting process for this project. We have a complex regulatory process in California to review environmental issues like this for a reason, because we want to be careful and we want to be precise and we want to protect the environment at every opportunity. The people who do that work are dedicated and committed to it. You're going to meet them tonight. You're going to hear about their roles. And I think they deserve our utmost respect because they have an incredibly difficult job, particularly in this moment when public employees are under attack by the federal government. This is not a public hearing. It's not an opportunity to have our voices heard the way we're traditionally used to that. There will be that opportunity as the Coastal Commission has public hearings and also perhaps the State Lands Commission, and they make their decisions about the permits that are going forward. But this is an opportunity to ask questions and to hear directly from the decision makers that will be involved in the permitting process. So I just want to conclude by saying our community in particular has a responsibility. This is the only place in the United States where offshore oil development has been stopped and is being proposed to be resumed. In this moment, when we are fighting to protect our climate and to protect the entire world from greenhouse gas emissions, the irony of that is not lost on me, and I'm sure it is not lost on you. We need to stand up to these forces. Sable is acting like a scofflaw and doesn't think it has to follow our rules and regulations. We're going to show them that they do, and we're going to make sure that we do the right thing through California. Thanks for being here.
We are so fortunate to have leaders like Senator Limón and Assemblymember Hart representing us in Sacramento, and that's where we really need this to be addressed. Our next speaker is a local hero whose voice is heard around the world. She fights to save our planet from climate change and fossil fuel development. She uses her voice to reach audiences all over and inspire them to join the fight to prevent climate disaster. She has been working alongside local and state organizations to highlight the risks of the Sable project and the threat of another oil spill on the California coast. It's my pleasure to welcome Julia Louis Dreyfus.
Good afternoon. Hi. I'm going to give you a little preview of what I'm going to say today at the very important public meeting. I am here because I'm a resident of Santa Barbara County and I can smell a rat. And this project is a rat. Here's why there's so much opposition to this pipeline. Nothing brings Californians together like protecting our coast. We know its value, we do. It's priceless. The Santa Barbara Channel has suffered 2 of the worst oil spills in the history of North America. The first, in 1969, was so bad that it started the modern environmental movement. Millions of gallons of oil spilled for more than a year into our channel from a blown-out offshore rig. That was 56 years ago, and we have not forgotten. The second giant spill was just 10 years ago, and we haven't forgotten that one either. But just in case you have, here's what happened. A dangerously corroded pipeline ruptured right here on our Gaviota Coast and despoiled more than 140 miles of coast. The pipeline owners had a plan in case of a spill, but they simply ignored it. They failed to turn off the ruptured pipeline immediately and didn't even respond to the blowout for nearly 24 hours. Imagine. Many thousands of acres of shoreline and habitat were devastated. Fisheries were closed, livelihoods were upended, and countless dead marine mammals washed up and animals washed up on our beaches. The pipeline was crap, and the people supervising it were irresponsible. The cost to you, to me, to California taxpayers was enormous. Thankfully, the whole decrepit thing was shut down. But now, Sable Oil from Texas is trying to restart the very same dangerously inadequate pipeline that ruptured. And incredibly, they're trying to do it with zero environmental review and zero opportunity for public input. I mean, you guys, that is insane. And it makes me furious. Oh, but Sable says, oh, trust us, it's so safe. Well, if it's so safe, they should have no problem with the state doing a full environmental review of the project, right? And they should have no problem showing their plans to the public so we can weigh in, right? They have done neither. What have they done? They've begun construction work on the project with no permit, no environmental review, and no transparency. That is illegal. And when a stop work order from the state was issued, they ignored it and kept working. They have bulldozed land and dug up creeks, all in defiance of a stop work order. And the state has done nothing to stop or punish them. What is going on here? I'm very suspicious. Come on. I mean, if I violated a stop work order on my own property, I would be arrested. But these guys from Texas, they get a pass? What the hell? Why? This is not the behavior of a responsible operator. This is the behavior of an incompetent operator trying to grease the wheels of government to restart a project without oversight, a project that has already criminally failed and fouled our seas, which are the very underpinning of our state's most enviable prosperity. We are not going to let that happen without a fight. What we are asking for today is very straightforward and it's very simple. We are asking state agencies to enforce the law and follow their own rules for overseeing this project. We are asking Attorney General Rob Bonta and Secretary of Natural Resources Wade Crowfoot and Governor Gavin Newsom to stand up, show some backbone, and do their jobs. We are asking them to enforce the laws of our great state in the name of the people who elected them to their high office. Thank you.
Okay, the fight is on. Our next speaker is another fighter. Jane Fonda is a champion of human and environmental rights and a leader in the movement to raise awareness and action in response to climate change. She founded Fire Drill Fridays, led the successful Stop Big Oil campaign last year, and has been in the forefront of efforts to fight oil projects nationally as well as locally. In fact, she was involved in the fight to protect the Gaviota Coast from oil drilling back in the 1980s, and thankfully she continues that fight today.
Thank you. I brought up my wonderful friend Daisy, who is an avid environmentalist, and she wanted to experience this event. So she's here with me. And I'm not a resident. I used to be. I used to live up on the top of the mountain next to the Painted Cave community on a ranch that was powered by a wind turbine, solar panels on the roof, photovoltaic cells to provide our electricity. And guess what? It worked. This was in the 70s and 80s. These things worked. They didn't hurt us. They didn't hurt the environment. They saved us a whole lot of money. This is the future. So I am going to give the macro view of this issue. Because right now humanity is facing the most serious threat in all of our existence. Because we have burned so much oil, gas, and coal since the early 1700s, a blanket of pollution. Listen, this is really important, okay? You've got to understand this. When we burn, they're called fossil fuels, and we burn them, and gases go up, and they form a blanket of pollution around the earth that traps in heat. And that heat changes the climate, affects our health, and damages a lot of things that go on planet Earth. This is not rhetoric, okay? This is backed up by 90% of the world's climate scientists. The ecological systems that are inextricably linked to our survival, we forget this. We are nature. We live on the planet because nature is alive and healthy and allows this to happen. Without nature, we die. Let's just remember that, because somehow we've become alienated from our life source. The ecological systems are being weakened and threatened with collapse. The oceans growing warmer and acidic. The forests, I'm going to the Amazon tomorrow, are being cut down, dried out by oil companies and others. Glaciers and ice sheets are melting. And yet, Sable Oil Company wants to come here and threaten this coastline and increase the climate crisis. The reason that these ecological systems are close to collapse is because they're being plundered and polluted so that executives that run Exxon and Shell and BP and others can hold on to their $1 billion of profits. Their bottom line is more important than a livable future. Prominent scientists are saying, oh, thank you. I always travel with a personal umbrella. She's young. You don't have to cover her. Thank you. All right. Are you under the umbrella? Okay. Scientists have called this code red for humanity. They say we're in uncharted territory and may soon lose control of these unraveling processes. It's going to be out of our hands, guys. But the scientists also say it's not too late to do something about it, as long as we act fast. They've even spelled out what we must do. Reduce our oil, gas, and coal emissions by half by the next decade, and then gradually and responsibly phase out of fossil fuels. And yet Sable, this Texas company, wants to bring 3 oil drilling platforms back online and restart the corroded Las Flores pipeline system. And you've already heard what that system did to this area. We're not going to let that happen. They don't know what they're up against. We're not just fighting for the future, for a livable future. We're fighting for our health today, right now, our safety, and we know how to fight. Last year, as already been said, we beat big oil. And they wanted to when they wanted to overturn Governor Newsom's bill that kept new oil rigs out of communities. They spent $60 million. We spent $5 million, and we won. The many beat the money. And we're going to do it again. We know how to fight. And California's elected officials who don't stand with us are going to regret it. Sorry about the rain. We don't care. We fight anyway. We Californians elected leaders to protect us and our coast from more oil drilling and not cozy up to the new guys in D.C. We have a governor who's taken very brave stands in the past against oil companies. He showed real leadership when he did that. We need him to keep that up. This is a great time of transition. It's a difficult time for leaders. We have to ask ourselves, is Newsom Chamberlain or Churchill? And right now, he's leaning to Chamberlain. I hope he knows that I said that. But I'm glad the press is here because you'll let him know, right? Yeah. I'm glad that the state representatives and agencies are going to be in Santa Barbara at the hearing in a little while. And we urge the representatives to represent us, represent their constituents, and use their power to defend the coast and protect our climate. And we will be watching. Thank you. You ready to move on, Daisy? Okay, would you hold these for me? Thanks. Where's Rocky? See, I know her for so long, I remember when she was called Rocky. Let me hold this for you. No, I'm here. You do your thing and I'll hold this.
Okay.
Move closer to the mic.
Okay.
We're not leaving yet, Daisy.
Okay. So rain is good. Replenishes the planet. We have 3 more speakers. Thank you for your patience, and then we'll head over to the town hall. So our next speaker is Ryan Gellert. He's the CEO of Patagonia, a company that's always put the environment above profits. Patagonia donates to nonprofits, urges its customers to take action. So Ryan is here to talk about the impact on businesses from fossil fuel development and major oil spills on our coast.
Give him hell.
Thank you. That is one hell of a hard act to follow. Hey, look, let me say this. It's piss and rain. You guys have heard it all from the best that we have to offer. Let me offer. So here's my 3 points. Number 1, everything that's been spoken into this microphone in the last 20, 25 minutes, we agree. Number two, the state of California, people in Santa Barbara County, people in Ventura County, people across this state, across America, and around the world expect more from California, our leaders and our officials. I've lived in Europe, I've lived in Asia. I will tell you, California sets the standards for environment and what it means to protect and conserve. The world is watching, never more so than right now. We need more. And the thing I'll bring to this on behalf of Patagonia, we're a business. We've been headquartered in Ventura, California since our founding 52 years ago. We employ 700 people in this area. This is critical to them. This is critical to me. This is critical to our families. And this is critical to us, our business, and many others like it. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Julie Schneiderman is an environmental advocate and the founder and CEO of EcoSticks and the co-founder of Women in the Water, an organization that promotes stewardship and activities in the water and empowers women to become leaders in their communities. She is a passionate advocate for enjoyment and protection of the waters, and we'll talk about how important our ocean is to us.
I'm honored to be here today with not only as a co-founder of Women in the Water, a local grassroots organization dedicated to educating, inspiring, and connecting our community through the thread of water, but also as a mother, community activist, environmental advocate, and ecopreneur. I have seen firsthand how the power of our community and community collaboration in creating meaningful eco change. And today we are here to take action to protect our ocean, our communities, and our future from the devastating impacts of offshore drilling. I wish I could say that the dangers of oil pipelines are hypothetical, but I know that they are not. In 2015, I personally witnessed the Refugio oil spill while camping on the coast with my daughter and her school. We saw the thick, toxic oil crash onto the beach, turning a place of beauty into a disaster zone. We watched helplessly as whales swam through the polluted waters and felt the frustration, as was said, waiting for a response, waiting for action, while the damage only grew worse. We waited and waited a very long time. That moment changed me, and I know that if we allow the Sable oil pipeline to restart, we risk reliving that devastation again. Oil spills impact us. They pollute our waters, threaten marine life, devastate coastal economies, and harm the health of those who call these shores home. We must act now. We must raise our voices, because small waves make big waves. And small actions today will have a massive impact for the generations to come. I urge you all to take action, write to decision makers, spread awareness, and demand that the Sable oil pipeline restart be stopped. Together we can protect our oceans. Together we can create a future where water is valued, protected, and cherished. Because water is what connects us all to each other. And when we share our passion and fight for it, we fight for each other and our planet. So don't enable Sable.
Okay, thank you for sticking around. This is really impressive. We have one more speaker, and then we need to head over to La Cumbre Junior High. So our last speaker is Jenna McGovern. She is the advocacy chair of the UCSB Environmental Affairs Board. She's a senior environmental studies and communications student with experience advocating for environmental protection in the community and implementing sustainable initiatives on campus. As a California native, nature lover, and scuba diver, she wants to protect the Santa Barbara community and marine ecosystem from fossil fuel dangers.
Thank you, Linda. I'm honored to speak again here today on behalf of UCSB students and to come after all of these amazing speakers. I first want to say the support that we saw at the county supervisor's hearing was beyond inspiring. We had hundreds of students attend, with many being turned away at the door as even the overflow rooms filled up. Students gave public comments alongside community members and made a direct impact on the supervisor's choices. So I want to thank the community for your reception and students for your amazing involvement in this project. Thank you. Today, we hope to bring the same passion, now at the state level. My peers and I are deeply concerned about Sable's plans. A few weeks ago, we got a glimpse into a worrying future. We saw this company unable to provide insurance policies, falter on questions of financial responsibility, and make vague, distant promises. But we don't need to only look at the county hearing to see that Sable is not fit to operate at these facilities. Since September, they've repeatedly ignored multiple violations and orders. Now, it doesn't take a genius to see that a company disregarding regulations from the very agencies it's seeking approval from is neither normal nor acceptable. Students and I are here because these agencies truly hold our future in their hands. This pipeline isn't just about Santa Barbara. It sets a precedent for oil policy on a national scale, signaling whether our state and country are complacent in environmental destruction and corporate greed. If this project is approved, it sends a message that violating regulations is acceptable. And what kind of lesson is that? The science is clear. Expanding fossil fuel infrastructure will push us past our planet's tipping point. And I'll be honest and say we're already pretty close. Secretary Wade Crowfoot, Governor Gavin Newsom, and even Sable VP Steve Roosh were all 22 once, like me, and entering the world full of promises and possibilities. My generation has not been given these same promises. We're graduating into a world of shrinking resources where profits have prioritized people, but we will not accept this anymore. Our responsibility is to protect not just the planet's future, but our own, and that starts here and now. The whole world watches California, and we have to lead the way and show that we side with science, resource protection, and a healthy future. This meeting is our chance to hold leaders accountable and prove that public voices cannot be ignored. Today, we are calling on these agencies to use their power and stop what would be an entirely preventable disaster. As we show up together, our voices amplify. And now we're using our power to say, stop the Sable pipeline. The world is watching, and so are we. Thank you.
Okay, that's a preview. Let's take this message, let's take their demands, let's take the hope, and go to La Cumbre Junior High and speak truth to power. See you all there.
And one quick logistical question. Is there anyone who needs a ride?